Hey guys, welcome back. Alright, so in this lesson, we're going to go over a different use case in blockchain, which is dealing with supply chain and logistics, right? So I'm going to talk briefly about the use case in the beginning, and then I'm going to show you guys the scenario. What problem does this use case solve, or does this blockchain use case solve for that specific industry or for that specific company, right? So let's just go ahead and get into it. And I'm going to start out by showing you this scenario. So I'm actually going to have this exact document as part of the course material. So you can actually just download the PDF version and go through it in detail and then just review it. I highly recommend that you actually review it in detail and understand clearly what the problem is. Because in here, I'm just going to go scan through it and I'm just going to give a brief about what the problem that's being addressed here, right? So this use case addresses the industry of supply chain logistics, and the problem that we have here is that high designer label manufacturers such as LVMH, Hermes, and of course Da Vinci and others who design like luxury items like women's handbags, Rolex watches, Tag Heuer watches, and so on, and all these different luxury designer label brands. And we all know the problem which they're facing, which is counterfeit goods, right? We all know that you can go to China, you can go to India and different countries, and you'll be able to purchase counterfeit goods of any of those designer label expensive manufacturing items, right? You can go to China, you can go to India, you can buy a Rolex watch for $1,000, $2,000, and it will look almost identical to the real thing, right? So the problem is that these designer label brands are losing billions of dollars per year as a result of these counterfeit items. So the question is, how can we leverage blockchain to help address this problem and solve this problem for these manufacturing brands, right? For these designer label brands. How can blockchain and the components of blockchain as a solution be applied the right way for them to be able to solve the problem of counterfeit goods, right? So that's essentially what we're trying to do here. So before we continue, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a quick video, and then we're going to jump into the questions, right?
Ariane is an open-source protocol, a coordinated set of rules establishing particular ways to format, transmit, and process information. It can be implemented by hardware, software, people, or a combination of the three. On a day-to-day basis, people use protocols while sending an email, doing a bank transfer, or booking a flight. These established set of rules are usually hidden behind a user-friendly interface that seamlessly enables people to perform a specific task. There are two very appealing things about it. Protocols can be used to create a standardized process which makes users' lives easier and can provide as many services as there are developers with ideas, giving the final user options to choose the one that suits them the most. That's why you can choose to receive your email on Outlook or on Mail. The Ariane protocol does two things. It provides the standardized process to create perpetual, secure, and authentic digital certificates, and it allows a private and safe communication channel between brands and certificate owners. It's simple, yet as we are pioneering on this protocol adoption, no one has developed apps nor interfaces yet. That's why at Ariane, we have created the first ones, on top of the protocol, to showcase how this open-source feature expands the capabilities, versatile opportunities, and richness available when it comes to digital certification. Imagine the possibilities. Our aim is to build a solid and diverse ecosystem, able to create unique and cool features for certificate owners, as much as smart and easy-to-use apps and interfaces for brands and users alike. Ariane, welcome to the future of ownership.
Okay, guys. So this basically is one of the companies which is working in this space in digital ownership certificates, and they're based out of France. And actually, the founders of this company, they actually started this because they were all former executives in the designer label brands such as Rolex, Tag Heuer, Montblanc, and others. So they all understand the problems and the challenges that the industry is facing. So they all joined forces and they decided to be able to create the solution that would address the problem for these high-end brands, right? So let's go ahead and jump into it and see how this actually works. And by the way, this video already is available on YouTube. You can download it, you can search for it, and you can read more about the company and what they're trying to do. They're starting out in France, and they're going to cover Europe, and then they're going to move into North America and so on, depending on how they expand into those different markets. Okay, so I'm just going to summarize here. The other problems that are created from counterfeit goods that when retail shops in certain countries makes the purchase of counterfeit goods which look almost identical to the originals and sell them in the designer's label boutique in the shop owner's country. The goods get sold as originals. The buying customer naturally assumes that since they are buying the item from an authorized retail store, then the item is an original. So the problem comes in two parts. When people who travel to these third world countries and be able to purchase these counterfeit goods almost off the streets, or when the actual authorized stores in certain countries are actually buying counterfeit goods in bulk and placing them on the shelves in their stores and selling them as originals, right? So the problem comes in two parts, from a retail buyer and from a distributor who's supposed to be a trustworthy distributor for that specific brand, Givenchy or LVMH, whichever the brand is. Right? So now the challenge here is please suggest how a blockchain solution can be implemented to resolve this problem and help designer labels to resolve or limit the problem of counterfeit goods. Please suggest how a blockchain solution required, along with any components that may be needed to address this problem. Okay, let's get into the questions. So, okay, the first two are obviously, right, what's the business case applies to a supply chain. What problem are you trying to solve? We already defined the problem clearly, so this one is clear and fine. What is the value gained or created from solving this problem, right? What is the value created by solving this problem? Again, very important point which we always have to answer clearly as detailed as possible. This will give us clarity about how to resolve this problem and which technology to use in the future. So essentially, by keeping the provenance record of the item, this makes it easier for regulators and copyright agencies to ensure they track fake counterfeit. But the biggest value by solving this problem is that we would save billions or millions of dollars for these brands from losing in counterfeit goods. Because if we were able to solve this problem and we were able to actually find a way to detect these counterfeit goods from these stores, and this would limit and eliminate the possibility of people buying these counterfeit goods, right? So this is what we're trying to do here. With the provenance record solution implemented, security, transparency, and trust are gained by the customer, especially when these items are have a very high price tag. Do they need a database? Yes, database is required to store and track the supply chain process of the item. Does it require shared write access? Yes. At each step of the supply chain, the participants should record the main steps and the quality control steps completed to ensure the supply chain cycle is as followed. Alright guys, I'm going to stop right here guys, and we'll continue on in the next lesson with the remaining of the questions. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next lesson.